The air hangs thick with anticipation and something darker, something electric and dangerous that seems to crackle through the warm September evening. It is 1968, a year that has already torn America apart. Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated in April, Robert Kennedy gunned down in June, riots at the Democratic Convention in Chicago just weeks ago, the war in Vietnam grinding on with no end in sight. The nation feels like it is coming apart at the seams, and perhaps it is. And here, in the natural amphitheater nestled in the Hollywood Hills, 18,000 people have gathered to witness something that many suspect will be explosive, controversial, possibly even dangerous. They have come to see The Doors, the band that has become synonymous with rebellion and transgression, and they are not disappointed. The Hollywood Bowl, with its iconic white shell and tiered seating rising up the hillside, has hosted countless performances since its opening in 1922. Classical orchestras, jazz legends, pop stars, all have graced this venerable stage. But tonight feels different. Security presence is heavier than usual. Los Angeles police officers stand at strategic positions throughout the venue, their eyes scanning the crowd with a mixture of wariness and anticipation. Rumors have been circulating for weeks about the Doors' increasingly chaotic performances, about Jim Morrison's unpredictable behavior, about concerts that have devolved into near riots. The authorities are prepared for trouble, and their very presence seems to guarantee that trouble will find them. The band takes the stage to thunderous applause and screams that echo off the bowl's curved shell. Ray Manzarek positions himself behind his keyboards, his Vox Continental organ and Gibson G101 bass pedals, ready to create the foundation that will drive the evening's journey. Robbie Krieger straps on his Gibson SG, the guitar that has become his signature instrument, its double cutaway body and powerful pickups capable of everything from delicate flamenco-influenced passages to roaring psychedelic feedback. John Densmore settles behind his Ludwig drum kit, his jazz-trained precision about to be tested by what promises to be an intense and unpredictable performance. And then there is Morrison, walking to center stage with the bearing of someone who knows he is both worshipped and watched, celebrated and surveilled. He is 24 years old, but looks simultaneously younger and older. His face retains its striking beauty, but his eyes carry a weight that suggests experiences beyond his years. He wears black leather pants that have become his uniform, a black shirt open at the chest, his dark curly hair falling past his shoulders. He grips the microphone stand and stares out at the sea of faces. At 18,000 people waiting to see what he will do, what lines he will cross, what boundaries he will destroy. The opening song erupts from the speakers, Manzarek's bass line pulsing. Through the bowl's excellent acoustics, Krieger's guitar slashing through the night air, Densmore's drums creating a rhythm that is simultaneously tight and loose, controlled and wild. Morrison's voice, that remarkable instrument capable of shifting from whisper to howl in a single breath, begins to weave its spell over the crowd. The audience responds immediately, standing, swaying, some already beginning to dance in the aisles despite the disapproving glares of security personnel. Morrison is in rare form tonight. Those who know him, who have watched his trajectory over the past 2 years since the Doors exploded onto the national scene, can sense that he is operating on some heightened level of intensity and danger. His movements are more theatrical than usual, his voice carrying an edge that suggests he is not simply performing songs, but channeling something deeper, something that frightens even him. Between songs, he speaks to the crowd in that low, hypnotic voice, words tumbling out in streams of consciousness, poetry, provocation, political commentary, personal revelation, all mixed together in a brew that is intoxicating and unsettling. The set list draws from all three of the albums The Doors have released so far. The groundbreaking self-titled debut, the challenging and experimental second album, and the third release that came out just months ago. Each song is transformed in performance, stretched and mutated, with extended instrumental passages that allow the band to explore improvisation and experimentation. Krieger's guitar solos soar and dive, influenced by flamenco and blues and jazz and something that cannot be categorized. Manzarek's keyboards create layers of sound that seem to come from somewhere beyond ordinary music. Densmore's drums shift between precise timekeeping and explosive fills that threaten to derail the songs but somehow never do. But it is Morrison who dominates, who commands attention, who transforms the concert into something approaching ritual or theater, or perhaps both. His stage presence has always been magnetic, but tonight he seems possessed, driven by forces beyond his control or perhaps precisely under his control. It is impossible to tell. He prowls the stage like a caged animal, drops to his knees, throws his head back and screams, whispers intimately into the microphone as if sharing secrets with each individual listener. The crowd responds with increasing fervor, their screams and shouts creating a feedback loop of energy between performer and audience. Before we continue deeper into this story, be part of our channel. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any incredible story we've prepared for you. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love to see how far our stories travel. As the evening progresses, the atmosphere grows more charged, more dangerous. Morrison's between-song monologues become longer, more provocative. He speaks about freedom and slavery, about breaking down doors and tearing down walls, about the necessity of destroying the old to create space for the new. His words are not quite political in the conventional sense. This is not protest folk music with clear messages and specific demands. This is something more primal, more fundamental, a challenge to every form of authority and convention. Some in the audience cheer wildly, others look uncertain, perhaps sensing that Morrison is approaching lines that should not be crossed. Police officers positioned throughout the venue tense visibly. They have been briefed about Morrison, about the incident in New Haven the previous December when he was arrested on stage mid-performance, about the increasingly wild concerts that have been reported across the country. They are watching, waiting, ready to move if Morrison crosses whatever invisible boundary they have been instructed to enforce. Their presence is no longer subtle background, but a visible part of the evening's dynamic, another element in the complex chemistry unfolding on stage and in the audience. Morrison seems to feed off this tension, to draw energy from the knowledge that he is being watched and judged, that his every word and movement are being evaluated for transgression. He makes references that seem designed to provoke, that dance right up to the edge of what is permissible. The band continues to play, providing the soundtrack for Morrison's increasingly theatrical performance. But they exchange glances that suggest concern, uncertainty about how far Morrison will push tonight. The set includes their breakthrough hit, but stretched and transformed beyond recognition for anyone who only knows the edited radio version. What begins as the familiar hypnotic groove gradually morphs into an extended improvisation, Morrison's vocals departing from the written lyrics to explore new territory, the band following his lead into uncharted musical space. The song becomes a vehicle for exploration and experimentation, a living thing that evolves in real time, responsive to the energy of the moment and the crowd's reactions. Another extended piece allows Morrison to fully inhabit his role as poet-shaman provocateur. The song's lyrics, which on the album are already dark and challenging, become in live performance a kind of psychodrama. Morrison acting out the narrative with full commitment, his body becoming an instrument for expressing the song's themes of desire, danger, and transformation. The audience watches transfixed as Morrison writhes and screams, whispers and pleads, takes them on a journey through psychological landscapes most people spend their lives trying to avoid. The set also includes newer material, songs that showcase the band's evolution and growing sophistication. These pieces are more musically complex than the early hits, with intricate arrangements that demonstrate the Doors are not simply a vehicle for Morrison's charisma, but a genuinely talented group of musicians. Manzarek's organ work is particularly impressive, his classical training evident in passages that recall Bach and Beethoven as much as rock and roll. Krieger's guitar explorations reveal his study of multiple genres and traditions, from Spanish flamenco to Chicago blues to avant-garde jazz. Densmore's drumming provides both anchor and adventure, keeping the songs grounded while also pushing them into unexpected rhythmic territory. But as brilliant as these musical moments are, they exist in tension with Morrison's increasing unpredictability. Between songs, his monologues grow more rambling, more confrontational. He challenges the audience to think, to feel, to break free from whatever constraints bind them. Some of his words are profound, genuine poetry delivered with the intensity of religious revelation. Other passages seem designed purely to provoke, to test limits, to see how far he can push before someone stops him. The police are conferring now, several officers gathering to discuss whether intervention is necessary, whether Morrison has crossed legal boundaries or simply boundaries of taste and propriety. The crowd senses this tension, and it adds another layer to the evening's already charged atmosphere. Will the concert be shut down? Will Morrison be arrested on stage again? The uncertainty becomes part of the experience, the possibility of catastrophe heightening every moment. Morrison seems aware of the gathering storm, but also indifferent to it, or perhaps drawn to it. His performance grows more intense, more physical. He grabs the microphone and screams into it with such force that feedback tears through the Bull's speakers. He throws himself around the stage in movements that seem almost violent, self-destructive. The other band members maintain the musical structure, providing stability amid Morrison's chaos, but their expressions suggest concern, perhaps even fear about what Morrison might do next. The set includes a song that allows Morrison to demonstrate his vocal range and dramatic capabilities. The piece begins quietly, almost tenderly, Morrison's voice barely above a whisper as he delivers verses about love and loss, connection and isolation. The crowd falls silent, straining to hear every word. And then, gradually, the song builds. Morrison's voice rising in volume and intensity, the band adding layers of instrumentation and power until the song reaches a climax that is both musically and emotionally overwhelming. Morrison's final screams seem to tear something out of him, to expose vulnerabilities and rages that most people keep safely hidden. The audience responds with a mixture of awe and something approaching fear. This is not entertainment in any conventional sense. This is confrontation, revelation, a kind of public therapy or exorcism. People in the crowd are crying, shouting, some trying to rush the stage only to be stopped by security. The evening has transcended the boundaries of normal concert experience and become something else entirely. Ritual, theater, breakdown, breakthrough, it is impossible to say. As the concert moves toward its conclusion, Morrison's between-song commentary becomes even more provocative. He speaks words that seem designed to test every limit, to see what he can say before someone silences him. The band plays on, perhaps hoping that keeping the music going will prevent Morrison from crossing lines that cannot be uncrossed. But Morrison is beyond caution now, beyond calculation, operating on instinct and impulse and something that might be artistic vision or might be self-destruction or might be both simultaneously. The final songs of the set are delivered with maximum intensity, Morrison giving everything he has, holding nothing back. His voice cracks and strains, pushed beyond its natural limits by the demands he makes of it. His body shows signs of exhaustion, sweat soaking his shirt, his movements growing more jerky and uncontrolled. But he continues, driven by some inner necessity that won't allow him to stop, to retreat, to play it safe. When the set finally ends, the crowd erupts in sustained applause and screams that seem to shake the bowl itself. Morrison and the band leave the stage, but the audience refuses to accept the concert's end. They chant for more, stamp their feet, create a wall of sound that demands the band's return. After several minutes, the Doors return to the stage for an encore that will provide both climax and anticlimax to the evening's intense journey. The encore selection is their most famous song, the one that made them stars, but performed with such intensity and length that it becomes something entirely new. Morrison pours everything remaining into the performance, his voice alternating between intimate whisper and primal scream, his body moving with the music in ways that are simultaneously graceful and violent. The band matches his intensity, creating a sonic landscape that supports and challenges Morrison's vocals, that provides both foundation and freedom. And then, it is over. Morrison drops the microphone, which hits the stage with a sharp crack that reverberates through the bowl. The band stops playing. For a moment, there is silence, a collective breath being held. Then applause, screams, people standing and shouting, some crying, some laughing, some simply stunned by what they have witnessed. Morrison walks off stage without looking back, his shirt soaked with sweat, his hair plastered to his face, his body language suggesting someone who has given everything and has nothing left. The police, who have been watching and waiting all evening, ultimately decide not to intervene. Perhaps they recognize that despite the provocation and intensity, no laws have actually been broken. Perhaps they simply want to avoid the riot that would almost certainly result from arresting Morrison in front of 18,000 passionate fans. Whatever their reasoning, they allow the concert to end peacefully, the crowd gradually dispersing into the warm September night, carrying with them memories of a performance that many will remember for the rest of their lives. In the days and weeks following the Hollywood Bowl show, reports and rumors circulate about what happened that night. Some accounts describe a brilliant, transcendent performance, Morrison and the Doors at the absolute peak of their powers. Other versions emphasize the chaos and danger, the sense that Morrison was out of control, that the evening could have ended in disaster. Both versions contain truth. The Hollywood Bowl concert of September 13, 1968, was both triumph and warning, both artistic peak and harbinger of the troubles that would eventually destroy the Doors as a functioning unit. For Morrison, the concert represents something significant, but perhaps difficult to articulate. He has pushed himself to the edge and beyond, has tested limits both artistic and personal. In doing so, he has created a performance that captures something essential about this particular moment in American history. The chaos, the anger, the hunger for transformation, the sense that the old world is dying and something new is struggling to be born. But he has also demonstrated the unsustainability of his approach, the way his method of performance requires levels of emotional and physical intensity that cannot be maintained indefinitely. The other band members leave the bowl with mixed feelings. Pride in the musical performance, concern about Morrison's trajectory, uncertainty about the future. They have created something remarkable tonight, but they are also aware that the formula that produces such magic is inherently unstable, that Morrison's genius and his self-destructive tendencies are inseparably intertwined. The question is not whether he will crash, but when, and whether they will go down with him. The Hollywood Bowl concert becomes part of Doors' mythology, one of the legendary performances that fans who were there will speak of for decades. Bootleg recordings circulate, though they capture only a fraction of the evening's intensity. The music can be preserved on tape, But the atmosphere, the tension, the sense of danger and possibility that filled the bowl that September night, these things can only be imperfectly remembered and incompletely described. Music journalists who review the concert struggle to capture what happened. Some focus on the musical performance, praising the Doors' instrumental prowess and innovative arrangements. Others concentrate on Morrison's theatrical intensity, his shamanistic presence, his willingness to push beyond conventional performance boundaries. A few critics express concern, suggesting that Morrison is heading toward a breakdown, that his performances have crossed from artistic risk-taking into recklessness. Morrison himself says little about the concert publicly. In private conversations with friends, accounts suggest he expresses satisfaction with having pushed himself to the limit, with having refused to hold back or play it safe. But there are also hints of awareness that this level of intensity cannot be sustained, that something will have to change or something will break. Within months, the Miami incident will occur, the arrest and obscenity charges that will effectively end the Doors' ability to tour mainstream venues. But in September 1968, that disaster still lies ahead, and the Hollywood Bowl concert stands as both achievement and warning. The concert's legacy extends beyond the Doors' immediate story. It becomes part of rock mythology, an example of what live performance can be when artists refuse to compromise, when they treat each concert not as repetition of rehearsed material, but as unique event, as opportunity for exploration and risk. Future performers will cite the concert as inspiration, as proof that the audience can handle intensity and challenge if artists are courageous enough to deliver it. But the concert also illustrates the costs of such uncompromising artistry. Morrison's approach to performance, holding nothing back, channeling genuine emotion and psychological intensity, refusing to protect himself or his audience from difficult truths, takes a toll that will eventually prove unsupportable. The Hollywood Bowl show of September 1968 captures Morrison at a moment of peak power, but it also shows the unsustainability of his method, the way his artistic vision and personal demons feed off each other in ways that produce brilliant art and personal destruction simultaneously. The 18,000 people who attended that September night at the Hollywood Bowl witnessed something rare and remarkable. A band at the height of their powers, a performer willing to give everything, a moment when artistic vision and cultural moment aligned perfectly. They saw the Doors deliver a concert that captured the chaos and possibility of 1968, that reflected back to the audience their own turbulent emotions and conflicted desires. They experienced music as transformation, performance as ritual, entertainment as confrontation with fundamental questions about freedom, identity, and meaning. In the decades since that September night, those who were there continue to speak of the concert with reverence and wonder. They describe Morrison's intensity, the band's musical brilliance, the atmosphere of electricity and danger that filled the bowl. They recognize that they witnessed something unrepeatable, a convergence of factors that produced a moment of genuine cultural and artistic significance. The forbidden show, forbidden not by official decree, but by the implicit understanding that what the Doors offered challenged every convention about what popular entertainment should be, remains a touchstone, a reminder of rock music's potential to be more than mere diversion, to be art and rebellion and transformation all at once. The September 1968 Hollywood Bowl concert stands as testimony to what the Doors achieved and what they cost themselves in the achieving. It captured lightning in a bottle, preserved a moment when music and culture and personal intensity aligned to create something extraordinary. But it also illustrated the price of such intensity. The way Morrison's refusal to hold back ultimately led to destruction of both the band and himself. The concert was both triumph and tragedy, both peak and precipice, both everything rock and roll could be, and everything that made such rock and roll unsustainable. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any incredible story we've prepared for you. See you in the next story.